Listen to me, because I came to talk to somebody who's been bleeding on the inside. You've smiled in public, but you've cried in private. You've encouraged others, but you've gone home empty. You've shouted, "I'm fine." But the truth is, you're broken. Not broken because you're weak, but broken because you loved deeply, trusted completely, and life hit you where it hurt the most. But hear me today. When your heart breaks, that's not the end. That's the beginning of healing. That's the moment when God steps into the pieces of your pain and starts creating something new out of your shattered soul. He's not intimidated by your tears. He's not disgusted by your wounds. He specializes in mending what man cannot fix. So today, hide your hurt, hand it to him. Don't fake your strength. Let him be your strength. Because there's power in surrender, and healing begins the moment you stop pretending you're whole and start allowing God to put the pieces back together again. Pain is not punishment. It's not the evidence that God has turned his face away from you. It's not a divine strike for something you did wrong. Sometimes the most painful moments in your life are not the proof that you've been forgotten, but the confirmation that you're being transformed. You see, when you're in the middle of your heartbreak, it's easy to start thinking that maybe you deserve this. Maybe you did something to earn this pain. Maybe this is the cost of your mistakes. But no, pain is not punishment. It's preparation. It's shaping you, molding you, positioning you for what's coming next. Every person who has ever walked in purpose has walked through pain. There's not a single great story that didn't start with a broken chapter. Look at your life, every wound, every disappointment, every sleepless night, it all carried something in it that could teach you, grow you, and pull you closer to the one who never left. Pain has a way of stripping away what you thought you needed so that God can give you what you truly need. It tears down false strength so he can rebuild you on the foundation of his power. Sometimes God will allow certain things to break you, not to destroy you, to show you that you were holding on to something that couldn't hold you back. The person you lost, the opportunity that slipped away, the betrayal that left you breathless. It's not punishment, it's pruning. And pruning always comes before growth. God cuts away the branches that no longer serve your destiny so that you can bear fruit in the season ahead. It hurts, yes. What if that pain is the evidence that something new is about to grow? When you're in pain, you start asking, why me? But maybe the better question is, what is this teaching me? Because pain will teach you things comfort never could. Comfort keeps you still, but pain moves you. Comfort lets you stay where you are, but pain pushes you into who you're supposed to become. God uses pain as a language. He speaks through the breaking to reveal the becoming. He lets something fall apart to show you that his plan is still standing. You may have thought the relationship would last forever, but God knew it would have kept you bound. You may have thought the job was your purpose. God knew it was just a platform to prepare you. Pain makes you listen. Pain humbles you. Pain brings you back to the place where you can finally hear him again. Sometimes we get so caught up in the noise of life, the plans, the people, the pressure. We stop listening to the still small voice, and then when everything collapses, when the silence hits, that's when we finally whisper, God, I need you. And he says, I've been right here waiting for you to call. There are moments when you will sit in the dark and think, this can't be from God. But hear me, he doesn't cause all pain, but he can use all pain. He can take the very thing that broke you and make it the tool that builds your faith. The heartbreak that tore your trust can become the soil where your strength grows. The betrayal that wounded you can become the moment you learn how to trust him, not them. Pain is not punishment. It's proof that you're still alive, that you still have purpose, that you still have something worth fighting for. Think of gold. It has to go through fire before it shines. Think of a seed. It has to be buried before it grows. Think of a diamond. It's formed under pressure. Everything valuable in creation endures a breaking before its beauty is revealed. Why would you be any different? God allows the pressure not to crush you, to create something in you that couldn't exist without it. The pain you're feeling today is not a sign that he's against you. It's a sign that he's preparing you to carry something greater. Sometimes we think healing means never feeling pain again. True healing when the pain no longer controls you. It's when you can look back at what hurt you and thank God that it happened, because now you see what it made you. Every tear that fell was watering the soil of your growth. Every lonely night was training you to depend on His presence. Every unanswered prayer was redirecting you toward a better answer. You see, when God says, no, it's not rejection, it's redirection. When He closes a door, it's not to keep you out, it's not to keep you out, it's to lead you to one that opens to your true destiny. So don't misread your pain. Don't label it as punishment when it's really protection. Don't call it rejection when it's really redirection. Don't say God is silent when He's really speaking through the stillness. There's purpose in the pain. There's a lesson in the loss. There's beauty in the breaking. Because sometimes God has to let you fall apart so He can rebuild you His way. You may not see it now. There will come a day when you'll look back and say, if that hadn't broken me, I wouldn't be who I am now. Pain introduces you to your real strength. It takes you to a place of surrender where you stop trying to fix everything by yourself and finally let God take over. That's when transformation begins. That's when healing takes root. So don't run from your pain. Don't curse it. Don't hide it. Bring it before the one who knows how to use it, because He never wastes pain. What you see as the end, He sees as the beginning. What you call a wound, He calls a doorway to your next season. Pain is not punishment. It's the hand of a loving God reshaping a fragile heart into something unbreakable. And when He's done, you'll rise not just healed, but whole, wiser, stronger, and ready to walk into the future He's been preparing for you all along. Healing begins with honesty. You cannot heal from what you keep pretending doesn't hurt. You cannot be restored from what you refuse to reveal. God can only mend the wounds you're willing to uncover. And sometimes the hardest truth to face is not what others did to you, but what you've buried so deep inside that even you've stopped acknowledging it. You've smiled over it, worked through it, and moved on from it. But deep down, you still bleed. Healing doesn't begin when the pain ends. It begins when the truth is spoken. Challenge, there comes a moment when you have to stop running from your reality and stand face to face with what broke you. You've got to stop dressing your wounds with distractions. You've got to stop covering your scars with pride. Because as long as you're hiding what hurts, you're holding back what could heal. God is not afraid of your truth. He already knows every tear, every thought, every moment that shattered you. He's not waiting for your perfection. He's waiting for your honesty. So many people walk through life bleeding internally, wearing masks that say, I'm okay, while their soul whispers, I'm not. We become professionals at pretending. We laugh at jokes that aren't funny. We say, I'm blessed while we're broken. We keep up appearances so no one will ask questions, because we fear that if we expose what's really going on, we'll look weak. But the truth is, pretending to be whole when you're not doesn't make you strong. It makes you stuck. And the longer you hide the pain, the deeper it roots itself in your spirit. God can't heal what you hide. When Adam and Eve sinned in the garden, the first thing they did was hide. God came walking, asking, where are you? He didn't ask because He didn't know. He asked because He wanted them to step out of hiding and confess what had happened. God's healing always begins with a question that invites honesty. Where are you? Not physically, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Where are you really? Because until you can answer that truthfully, you can't move forward. We spend so much time managing our image that we forget to manage our soul. We care about what people think more than what's happening inside. But hear this, healing doesn't come through reputation, it comes through revelation. You've got to reveal what's broken before God can restore it. Stop trying to impress Him with strength when He's asking you to trust Him with weakness. When you finally say, God, I'm hurting, I'm angry, I'm lost, I'm scared, that's when the real healing begins. Sometimes honesty hurts more than the pain itself because it forces you to face things you've avoided for years. You'll have to confront the betrayal you never processed, the disappointment you never spoke about, the trauma you never dealt with. You might even have to admit that you're still mad at God for letting it happen. But even that honesty, yes, even that is holy ground. God would rather hear your honest cry than your fake praise. He can handle your truth. He can handle your doubts. He can handle your questions. He can handle your tears. The only thing he can't handle is your silence when you choose to suffer alone. Healing doesn't begin in the noise of pretending. It begins in the quiet confession of truth. When you pour out your pain before God, you give him permission to pour in his peace. When you confess your weakness, you invite his strength. The moment you open your mouth and say, Lord, this is what I've been carrying, you start to lighten the load. Because whatever you reveal loses its power over you. Whatever you conceal continues to control you. Many people pray for healing but never open the wound. They want restoration without revelation. They want freedom without facing the truth. But it doesn't work that way. You can't heal from something you're still protecting. You can't be delivered from something you still defend. There's no freedom in denial. Denial might delay the pain. It doesn't destroy it, it just buries it deeper. And what's buried alive always finds a way to surface later, often in ways you don't expect. You might find yourself snapping in anger when you're really just hurting. You might isolate yourself, not because you hate people, because you fear being hurt again. You might overwork, not because you're ambitious, because you're running from stillness, the place where truth waits for you. But hear me, God doesn't heal the person you pretend to be. He heals the person you really are. And until you stand before him in truth, you'll keep living in fragments. When you finally come before God and say, here I am, broken, confused, tired, and empty, something sacred happens. Heaven leans in. The heart of God responds not with judgment, with compassion. The moment you open up, he begins to do what no therapy, no conversation, no distraction could ever do. He begins to touch the deep parts of your soul that words can't reach, because God heals from the inside out. He starts with your truth, then pours his grace into the cracks. You don't have to have eloquent prayers or perfect words. Just be real. Tell him what hurts. Tell him what you don't understand. Tell him what you can't carry anymore. He's not looking for polished phrases. He's looking for a pure heart. Sometimes the most powerful prayer you can ever pray is a simple one: God help me. I'm not okay. When you bring honesty into the presence of God, healing becomes inevitable, because truth and grace always meet in his hands. The truth exposes the wound, grace applies the medicine. The truth reveals what's broken, grace restores what's missing. That's why Jesus said, you shall know the truth shall make you free. Freedom doesn't come from running away. It comes from finally facing what you've been running from. Stop pretending you're okay. Stop saying, oh, it's fine, when it's not. Stop carrying burdens that God is ready to lift. He cannot bless who you pretend to be. He can only heal who you really are. Let your honesty become your offering. Let your vulnerability become your victory. Because when you bring your truth to God, he brings his healing to you. Healing begins with honesty. And once you're honest, once you stop hiding, once you face it head on, that's when the chains start breaking, walls start falling, and the heart that once was shattered begins to beat again. Whole, strong, and free. Let go of what left you. That's one of the hardest lessons you'll ever learn in life. It's one of the most powerful steps toward healing. There are things, people, and seasons that were never meant to stay forever. Some things came to teach you, not to keep you. Some relationships were meant to prepare you, not to remain with you. Yet we hold on. We hold on to what used to be, replaying the memories, analyzing the moments, wishing we could change how it ended. But the longer you hold on to what left, the longer you delay what's coming next. You can't receive new blessings with closed fists, holding on to what's gone. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you erase the memories. It doesn't mean you pretend it didn't happen. Letting go means you've made peace with the fact that it's over. It means you've accepted that what left your life was not meant to destroy you, to direct you. Every ending carries the seed of a new beginning. You may not see it now, but what you lost could be the very thing that sets you free. Sometimes we confuse attachment with purpose. We think because something once made us happy, it's meant to stay forever. God's plan doesn't always align with our emotional comfort. There are times He will allow things to fall apart, not because He's cruel, because He's kind. He knows that if you kept holding on, you'd never grow. If you stayed in that space, you'd never discover who you truly are. Letting go hurts because your heart remembers the good, but your spirit knows it's time to move. And between those two voices, memory and destiny, you must choose destiny. You can't heal while constantly reopening the door to what broke you. Some of us are still checking the door where someone walked out years ago, hoping they'll return. But the truth is, if they were meant to stay, they wouldn't have left. Their departure was divine direction in disguise. God doesn't remove something from your life unless He intends to replace it with something better. You can't see the better when your eyes are still fixed on the past. There's a weight that comes from holding on. The weight of wondering, the weight of questioning, the weight of what ifs. What if I had done more? What if I had said something different? What if they come back? Holding on to what's gone keeps your heart chained to a moment that no longer exists. You can't build a future while living in yesterday. The past is a classroom, not a home. Learn from it, but don't live in it. Sometimes we even hold on to pain itself. It sounds strange. Pain can become comfortable. You get so used to the ache that you start believing it's a part of who you are. You wake up every day carrying it like a badge, reminding yourself of how they hurt you, how they left you, how you'll never trust again. But hear this, your pain is not your identity. What happened to you is real, but it's not who you are. You are not the rejection, you are the survivor of it. You are not the betrayal, you are the lesson that came out of it. And until you let go of what left you, you'll never discover what still remains within you. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting, it means forgiving. Not just forgiving others, but forgiving yourself. For the times you stayed too long, for the times you didn't know better, for the times you gave more than you should have. Forgiveness is the release that allows your soul to breathe again. When you forgive, you free yourself from the chains of the past. You stop waiting for closure from people who never cared to give it. You stop rehearsing conversations that never happened. You stop trying to make sense of things that were never meant to be understood. Letting go also means trusting that God knows what He's doing. It's admitting that you don't have to understand everything to have peace. You may not understand why they left, but you can trust that God saw what you couldn't. He knew what that connection would cost you in the long run. He knew that staying attached would drain your spirit, block your growth, and delay your destiny. So He allowed separation not as punishment, but as protection. Though it hurts, someday you'll look back and realize that what left made room for what was meant to arrive. When you finally let go, there's a strange kind of silence that follows. The silence of missing something familiar. The silence of no longer hearing the voices that once filled your days. But don't mistake that silence for emptiness. It's space. Space for healing. Space for peace. Space for God to fill the emptiness with His presence. What left your hands is not greater than what He's about to place in them. There's something powerful about unclenching your fists and saying, God, I release it. I release them. I release the memory. I release the need to understand. Because every time you release something that was never meant to stay, you're giving God permission to give you something that will. You can't move forward if you're still chained to the past. You can't step into your future if your heart is still living in yesterday's shadows. Letting go is not losing. It's winning your peace back. So stop scrolling through old pictures trying to feel something that no longer fits your present. Stop revisiting conversations in your mind that always end the same way. Stop waiting for an apology that may never come. The closure you're waiting for doesn't come from people, it comes from acceptance. And acceptance is the moment you stop asking why and start saying, thank you, God, for saving me from what I thought I needed. But the truth is, some people leave because they've reached the end of their part in your story. And that's okay. Their chapter was necessary, but it's not eternal. What challenge you to love it of you is always greater than what's behind you. You are not empty because they're gone. You are ready for what's next. You are not broken because they left. You are being healed through release. Letting go takes strength, but it also takes faith. Faith to believe that what's gone was never meant to destroy you. Faith to believe that something better is waiting beyond the pain. Faith to believe that your heart will beat again, lighter, freer, stronger. So today, let go of what left you. Stop reaching for what has already walked away. Your destiny is not behind you. It's ahead of you. And once you release what's no longer yours, you'll find that God has been waiting with something far greater than what you lost. Something that was always meant for you. Something that will never leave. God heals through process, not pressure. Healing is not a moment, it's a journey. It's not a single prayer, single night of tears, or a single act of faith. It's a walk that unfolds step by step, day by day, as you learn to trust Him through the stages of restoration. We live in a world that glorifies instant results. We want instant answers, instant peace, instant healing. But God doesn't work through rush. He works through revelation. He's not trying to make you feel better for a moment. He's trying to make you whole for a lifetime. When you're broken, your first instinct is to want the pain to end. You want the weight to lift, the aches to stop, the tears to dry. You want to wake up one morning and not feel that emptiness anymore. But true healing doesn't come by pretending the wound isn't there. It comes through allowing God to touch it again and again until the pain turns into purpose. That's a process. And every process requires patience. You can't rush what God is doing in you. You can't fast forward through the stages of healing and expect to come out strong. You've got to walk through it, even when it's slow, even when it's silent, even when you don't understand why it's taking so long. Sometimes God doesn't heal you instantly because He wants you to learn something in the waiting. He wants you to discover that peace isn't the absence of pain, it's His presence in the middle of it. He wants you to see that faith isn't just believing for miracles, it's trusting Him when nothing looks miraculous. The waiting room of healing is often where your greatest growth happens. It's where your roots go deep, where your dependence shifts from people to God, where your heart begins to understand that His timing is always better than your own. We often want God to remove the pain, but He wants to redeem it. We want Him to erase the memory, but He wants to use it as a testimony. We want the shortcut, but He wants the shaping. Because it's in the slow, steady process that your character is rebuilt. It's in the process that you learn endurance, humility, and strength. If God healed you instantly, you might thank Him for a moment, but forget Him tomorrow. But when He heals you through process, He becomes your anchor. You start to know Him not just as the God who blesses, but as the God who stays with you through it all. Think about a broken bone. If it's not set properly, it can heal wrong, and what's healed wrong can still hurt later. That's why God takes His time with your healing. He wants to align every piece of you, the mind, the heart, the spirit, so that when you're restored, you don't just look whole, you are whole. Sometimes He'll let you sit in silence so that your heart can finally hear. Sometimes He'll remove certain people so that your healing won't be interrupted. Sometimes He'll slow everything down because your pace was too fast for your soul to catch up. Don't mistake the slowness for absence. Just because it feels like nothing is happening doesn't mean God isn't working. A seed doesn't grow the day it's planted. It grows in the dark, under the soil, unseen. You don't see the roots developing, but that's where the real growth is happening. Your healing is the same. God is working in places you can't see, mending what you can't touch, restoring what you can't even describe. It's not pressure, it's process. Process always takes time. The problem is we get impatient. We compare our journey with others. We look at someone else who seems to have moved on faster, smiled sooner, healed quicker, and we start thinking something's wrong with us. But healing is personal. It's between you and God. What took someone else 3 months may take you a year, and that's okay. You're not behind, you're becoming. God is not on your clock. He's on His purpose. And His purpose is to make sure when you stand again, you won't crumble under the same weight that broke you before. There will be days when you feel like you've made progress. Something small will trigger the old pain. Don't get discouraged. That doesn't mean you're back to square one. Healing isn't a straight line. It's a path with hills and valleys. Some days you'll feel strong, and other days you'll feel weak. Even on your weak days, God is working. Even in your tears, He's transforming you. Even in your confusion, He's teaching you how to rely on His peace instead of your plan. If God healed you the moment you asked, you might never learn the lessons hidden in the process. You might never learn to let go of control. You might never discover the depth of His love. Sometimes God allows the healing to take time because He's doing surgery on your soul. And that kind of work can't be rushed. He's removing bitterness, stitching hope, and breathing life back into places that were long dead. And while it hurts, it's holy work. You may be asking, why can't God just fix it now? And the truth is, He can. But sometimes He chooses not to because He wants the process to purify you. He wants you to become someone who doesn't just survive heartbreak, but rises from it wiser, deeper, and stronger. When God heals through process, He's not just changing your circumstances, He's changing you. He's teaching you how to walk by faith and not by sight, how to depend on His voice more than your emotions, how to find peace not in outcomes, but in obedience. So don't rush what God is still writing. Don't push for quick comfort when He's building lasting strength. Don't demand closure when He's still creating clarity. The process may be painful, but it's purposeful. Every delay has meaning. Every tear is watering your future. Every silent season is shaping your soul for what's coming. One day, you'll look back and realize that the process was the blessing. That every moment you thought was wasted was actually preparation. The slow healing made you stronger than instant relief ever could. Because when God takes His time, He's not just fixing the wound, He's forming the warrior. And when He's done, you won't just be healed, you'll be whole. You'll rise from the process with a deeper peace, a stronger faith, and a heart that finally understands that His way, though slower, is always perfect. Don't confuse delay with denial. One of the hardest truths to accept in life is that God's timing doesn't move with our clock. We live in a world of instant gratification where everything is just one click away, where waiting feels like wasting and silence feels like rejection. With God, delay is not denial. What looks like a pause to you is often a plan in motion. What feels like a setback is often a setup for something better. God delays. He's not saying no. He's saying not yet. And that not yet is not punishment. It's preparation. When you pray for something and it doesn't happen, your first thought is that maybe you did something wrong. Maybe God isn't listening. Maybe He doesn't care. But delay has nothing to do with neglect. It has everything to do with divine order. God's timing is perfect. Even when it feels painful, He sees the full picture when you only see a piece. You're looking at the clock, but He's looking at the purpose. You're looking for the moment, but He's shaping the miracle. Sometimes He has to align circumstances, people, and opportunities in ways you can't see. That takes time. Imagine a seed buried in the ground. It doesn't sprout the day it's planted. It has to stay in the dark for a while, where no one sees it, where it feels silent, where it seems like nothing is happening. But underground, something powerful is taking place. Roots are growing. Foundations are forming. The seed is getting ready for what it's meant to become. That's what delay feels like. You think you're stuck. You're really being strengthened. You think you're forgotten, but you're actually being formed. God's silence is not absence, it's strategy. Sometimes God delays because you're not ready yet. You might be praying for a blessing that your heart isn't mature enough to handle. You might be asking for a door that your character can't yet sustain. God's love is not shown by how fast He gives, it's shown by how wisely He gives. A blessing received too early can become a burden. So when He holds you in waiting, it's not to punish you, it's to prepare you. He's building patience in your spirit, endurance in your faith, and humility in your heart. Because the waiting room is where warriors are made. There's beauty in delay when you learn to trust the process. You start to understand that God's timing is never late. He moves at the speed of purpose, not pressure. When he delays, he's protecting you from something you can't see. Sometimes the job you wanted would have drained you. Sometimes the relationship you begged for wouldn't have broken you. Sometimes the opportunity you thought was perfect wasn't meant to last. Though delay hurts now, one day you'll look back and thank him for it. You'll realize the no you heard was actually wait, and that wait saved your future. When you're in delay, your faith will be tested. You'll feel like giving up, like walking away, like God has forgotten your name. But it's in that very place of waiting that faith grows deeper roots. Faith isn't love enough in the promise, it's proven in the pause. It's easy to believe when everything's happening fast, but real faith says, even if I don't see it yet, I still trust him. That's the kind of faith God honors. The kind that worships in the waiting, kind that stands still when everything says run, the kind that doesn't need proof to keep believing. Delay also reveals your heart. It shows what you truly trust. Do you trust God, or do you trust your timing? Do you want his will, or do you just want your way? Because sometimes what you think is a delay is actually God waiting for you to surrender control. You can't rush divine timing. You can't force something into existence before it's time. The same God who promised is the same God who's preparing. So instead of asking, when, God, start asking, what are you teaching me while I wait? That shift in your spirit changes everything. There are moments when the waiting feels unbearable. You watch others move forward while you're still standing still. You see people celebrate what you've been praying for, and it hurts. But don't let comparison make you doubt God's plan. Your story is unfolding differently because your purpose is different. Just because it's happening for them now doesn't mean it won't happen for you later. Delay is not denial. What's meant for you cannot miss you. It might take time, but it will come. Even in Scripture, every great promise carried a delay. Joseph had to wait years in prison before reaching the palace. David was anointed king, but waited long before he wore the crown. Sarah waited decades before holding her promised child. Every delay had purpose. Every pause had meaning. God was using the waiting to shape their hearts, build their faith, and prepare them for what was promised. The same is true for you. If he's making you wait, he's also making you ready. Sometimes the delay is God's mercy in disguise. Because if he gave you everything you asked for when you wanted it, you might destroy it, or it might destroy you. The waiting refines you. It humbles you. It teaches you how to pray differently, how to see differently, how to depend on him completely. You stop chasing outcomes and start seeking his presence. And that's the real miracle. Not the thing you're waiting for, the person you become while waiting. So when you don't see progress, don't panic. When doors don't open, don't assume it's over. Answers don't come, don't lose faith. God hasn't forgotten you. He's orchestrating details beyond your view, lining moments in ways you'll only understand later. Trust his timing, even when it feels slow. Because when it finally happens, you'll realize it didn't come late, it came right on time. Delay is not denial, it's divine timing dressed in silence. It's God saying, hold on, I'm working on something you can't see. And when it arrives, when the promise unfolds, when the waiting ends, you'll understand why he made you wait. You'll realize that the delay didn't destroy you, it developed you. It made you stronger, wiser, and more grounded in him. And in that moment, you won't just thank him for what came, you'll thank him for making you wait for it. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is the doorway to healing. Many people think that when they forgive, they are letting the person who hurt them off the hook, but in truth, forgiveness isn't about setting them free, it's about setting yourself free. When you hold on to bitterness, resentment, and anger, you are chaining your soul to the very thing that broke you. You become a prisoner to your own pain, carrying it everywhere you go, allowing it to live rent-free in your heart. But forgiveness, true forgiveness, is when you decide that the pain will no longer have power over you. It doesn't mean you forget what happened or pretend that the wound wasn't deep. It means you make a decision not to let that wound define you. It's not denying enough your pain, it's reclaiming your peace. Every time you rehearse what they did, every time you replay the betrayal, you're reopening the same wound that God wants to heal. That's why forgiveness isn't a one-time act. It's a daily choice. You have to wake up and say, I won't let this hurt harden my heart. I won't let bitterness steal my joy. Because bitterness, if left unchecked, becomes poison. Poison doesn't destroy the other person, it destroys you. Some people think forgiveness is only for those who apologize. Forgiveness is something you do for your own soul, not for their approval. Whether they say sorry or not, whether they change or not, whether they even acknowledge what they did, your healing does not depend on their repentance. It depends on your release. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean you have to let toxic people back into your life. It simply means you refuse to let them control your emotions anymore. You stop giving them power over your peace. You take your heart back from their hands and place it in God's. God never said forgiveness would be easy, but He did say it would set you free. When you carry unforgiveness, it becomes a spiritual weight that slows you down. It clouds your judgment, hardens your heart, and distances you from God's presence. Because how can God fill your heart when it's already filled with resentment? How can He pour new blessings into a vessel still full of bitterness? That's why sometimes the breakthrough you've been praying for doesn't come until you release what you've been holding on to. You're asking God for peace while still clutching pain, but peace can't coexist with poison. You have to let it go. You see, forgiveness doesn't make you weak, it makes you strong. It takes courage to look pain in the face and say, you will not control me anymore. It takes strength to choose love over hate, to choose release over revenge. Anyone can hold a grudge. It takes divine power to forgive. When you forgive, you reflect God's heart because that's exactly what He did for you. You've made mistakes, you've fallen short, and yet He still extended mercy. So when you forgive, you are walking in the same grace that saved you. You're saying, if God can forgive me, I can forgive others. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. You can't heal from what you keep condemning yourself for. You keep replaying your own failures, your own regrets, your own what-ifs. God is not holding them against you. Why are you? You can't move forward while living in yesterday's guilt. Forgiveness also means giving yourself permission to start again. It means understanding that your past was a lesson, not a life sentence. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are someone God can still use, someone He can still restore. The same grace that covers others covers you too. Holding on to offense keeps you stuck in the moment of pain. It's like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die. Every time you cling to anger, you're feeding the wound that God is trying to heal. When you choose forgiveness, you break the cycle, you open the door for peace to return. You allow joy to come back into your heart. Forgiveness doesn't change the past, but it changes your future. It frees you from being bound to that moment of betrayal. It allows you to breathe again, to feel again, to live again. There will be times when you'll feel justified in your anger, times when the hurt was real and deep, and it seems unfair to forgive. But forgiveness doesn't mean what they did was right. It means you're choosing not to be destroyed by it. You're choosing to hand over justice to God because vengeance is not your job, it's His. He knows how to handle what you can't. So instead of trying to fight battles that belong to Him, you rest in the assurance that He will make things right in His time. When you forgive, you're not losing the battle, you're winning it. Because the real victory is not proving them wrong, it's rising above the pain they caused. There's peace on the other side of forgiveness. There's clarity. There's healing. There's strength you didn't know you had. Sometimes the reason you can't hear God clearly is because your heart is too noisy with resentment. But once you forgive, once you let go, His voice becomes clearer, His presence becomes stronger, and His love becomes deeper. You'll realize that forgiveness wasn't about freeing them. It was about freeing yourself from the weight that's been suffocating your spirit. Maybe you've been carrying that hurt for years. Maybe you've buried it so deep you forgot it was still there. But tonight, God is whispering to your heart, let it go. not because they deserve it, because you deserve peace. You deserve freedom. You deserve to heal. Forgiveness is not about forgetting. It's about remembering without pain. It's about looking back and saying, that tried to break me. It didn't. It's about standing in your truth and knowing that the power of the hurt no longer owns you. So let it go, not for them, but for you. Release the weight, surrender the anger, and make room for peace to live in your heart again. Because when you forgive, you're not just healing from what happened, you're stepping into who you're meant to become. And that version of you, the one that's free light, full of peace, is the one God has been waiting to reveal all along. Forgiveness is not weakness. It's the purest form of strength, and it's the path that leads you straight into the heart of healing. Pain has purpose. That may sound hard to accept. When your heart feels shattered, tears have become your daily language, when your world seems to have lost its color. But the truth is, every wound, every heartbreak, every disappointment carries something divine hidden within it. Nothing in your life is wasted when it's surrendered to God. Pain is not pointless, it's a teacher. It's the tool that molds you, shapes you, and prepares you for the greater version of yourself. You may not see it now, but one day you'll look back and realize that the very thing that tried to break you was the thing that built you. There's a kind of wisdom that can only come through pain. Success teaches you little, comfort teaches you nothing. But pain, it teaches you depth. It humbles you, refines you, and forces you to grow roots where you never thought you needed them. Pain exposes what's real and strips away what's fake. It makes you face yourself, your fears, your faith, and your dependence on God, because in the fire of pain, impurities rise to the surface. Pain shows you where you've been trusting yourself instead of Him, where you've been holding on to what needed to be released, where you've been building on shaky ground instead of solid truth. Sometimes God allows pain not to destroy you, but to develop you. He allows the storm to reveal what you've been standing on. You don't know how strong your faith is until the foundation is shaken. You don't know how deep your trust runs until everything else is stripped away. Pain doesn't mean God has abandoned you. It often means He's transforming you. He's moving you from where you were to where you're meant to be. And transformation is never painless. The caterpillar must struggle before it becomes the butterfly. The seed must break before it grows. A heart must ache before it truly understands love and compassion. Many people run from pain. They bury it, hide it, ignore it, or try to numb it. Pain doesn't disappear when you avoid it. It grows. Healing doesn't come from pretending the wound isn't there. It comes from allowing God to touch it, to use it, to turn it into something beautiful. When you bring your pain to Him, it becomes purpose. When you hide it, it becomes poison. Pain unprocessed turns into bitterness, but pain surrendered turns into power. Every tear you've cried, every night you've spent broken, every prayer you whispered when no one heard, it all matters. None of it is wasted. God bottles every tear. He sees every ache, and He uses it all to build something inside of you that could not exist without it. There's purpose even in what you lost. Sometimes God removes people or things not to punish you, but to protect you. You may not understand it while you're hurting. Later you'll realize that the loss created space for something better. Pain cleanses your heart of attachments that don't serve your destiny. It makes room for what's divine. You can't carry old weight into a new season. You can't reach higher while clinging to what's broken behind you. Pain has a way of forcing you to release what you wouldn't have let go of on your own. When your heart is broken, it's easy to ask, why me? But perhaps the real question is, what is this teaching me? Pain refines your empathy. It gives you compassion for others who are hurting. It helps you understand people on a level you never could have before. Because when you've been broken, you see the world differently. You see the silent battles in others. You hear pain in their voices, and you respond not with judgment, but with grace. Your pain becomes your ministry. The thing that once brought you to your knees becomes the story that helps someone else stand. That's the power of pain when it's given to God. It doesn't just heal you, it heals others through you. Pain also reveals purpose by showing you what truly matters. When life is comfortable, we often chase temporary things, status, approval, possessions, people's validation. But when pain hits, those things suddenly lose their power. The noise of the world fades, and you start hearing what's eternal. You begin to value peace over popularity, depth over distraction, purpose over applause. Pain strips away the superficial and draws you closer to truth. It teaches you to lean on God, to depend on His strength instead of your own, to trust His plan even when you don't understand it. There's a story being written through your pain, even when you can't read it yet. God is the author, and He never wastes ink. Every chapter, even the dark ones, serve a purpose in the plot. The tears you cry today water the seeds of tomorrow's strength. Care enough, the heartbreak you feel now becomes the soil where wisdom grows. And one day, when you walk in the fullness of your healing, you'll see that none of it was for nothing. You'll realize that pain was never meant to define you. It was meant to refine you. So don't despise the pain. Don't curse the season that's breaking you. Because pain is not your enemy. It's your invitation. It's the door God uses to bring you closer to Him, to awaken you to who you truly are, and to show you that His strength is made perfect in your weakness. Every scar tells a story, not of defeat, but of survival. Every wound becomes a testimony of grace. Every broken piece becomes part of a masterpiece. You might not feel it now. One day you'll thank God for the pain that pushed you closer to your purpose. You'll thank Him for the nights that forced you to pray, for the loss that taught you to trust, for the heartbreak that opened your eyes. You'll look back and see that pain wasn't punishment. It was preparation. It was the fire that purified you, the storm that strengthened you, the breaking that built you. So hold on. Don't let the pain make you bitter. Let it make you better. Don't let it close your heart. Let it open your soul. There is meaning in your suffering. There is growth in your grief. Even when you can't see it, God is working behind the scenes, turning your pain into purpose. What once felt like the end will become the beginning of something new. The same tears that fell in sorrow will one day fall in gratitude. Because pain has purpose, it always has, and it always will. You can't heal by holding on to what hurt you. So many people carry wounds, not because they were never offered healing, but because they refuse to let go of the pain that caused it. Holding on to what broke you may feel safe, familiar, and justified. You replay the betrayal. You rehearse the words that cut you. You hold the offense like armor, convincing yourself that keeping it close somehow protects you from being hurt again. But the truth is, what you hold on to will hold on to you. The longer you cling to the memory of what happened, the longer it has power over your present. You can't step into healing while still clutching the thing that caused the wound. There's a strange comfort in pain because it's known. Sometimes we hold on not because we love the pain, but because we fear who will be without it. It becomes part of our identity. I was abandoned. I was betrayed. I was mistreated. These become labels we wear, stories we tell ourselves, walls we build to keep others out. Healing requires surrender. You can't heal while rehearsing what hurt you. You have to make peace with the fact that it happened. It doesn't have to define who you are anymore. The wound may have been caused by someone else, but the healing is your responsibility. Letting go doesn't mean you're saying what they did was right. It doesn't mean you're ignoring the pain or pretending it didn't happen. It means you're choosing freedom over fixation. You're choosing peace over poison. You're choosing to stop reliving what broke you. Because as long as you keep looking back, you'll never see the new thing that's trying to bloom in front of you. God can't fill your hands with something new while you're still holding tightly to the old. Sometimes He's ready to bless you. Your grip on the past is too strong. Healing begins when you open your hands and say, I release it, God. I'm done carrying what's killing my peace. Holding on to pain keeps you trapped in cycles. You start to repeat patterns because you're living through old emotions. You can't build healthy relationships while still bleeding from old ones. You can't walk in purpose while dragging the weight of yesterday's disappointment. Every time you revisit the memory, you reopen the wound. Every time you replay the conversation, you invite the same hurt back into your heart. Healing isn't found in replaying, it's found in releasing. You have to give yourself permission to stop reliving what you can't redo. Some of the things you're holding on to aren't people anymore. They're ghosts. Ghosts of who you thought they were, ghosts of what could have been, ghosts of promises that were never kept. And as long as you keep holding their shadow, you'll never walk in light. Sometimes God removes people not because they were bad, but because their season in your story ended. Yet you keep reaching back into old chapters, trying to bring them into a place they no longer fit. Letting go is not loss, it's alignment. It's trusting that what left your life was never meant to stay for the next level. The heart often clings to what the soul has already outgrown. You know it's time to move on, but part of you is still waiting for closure, for an apology, for an explanation that may never come. But closure doesn't come from them, it comes from you. It comes from deciding that peace is more important than answers. It comes from realizing that healing doesn't need permission from the one who hurt you. You can close the chapter even if they never say sorry. You can forgive even if they never acknowledge what they did. Because healing is not about fixing the past. It's about freeing the future. Sometimes you'll think you've let go, only to find yourself triggered again, reliving the pain through memories, dreams, or emotions. That's okay. Healing is not linear. It's not a switch you flip. It's a journey you walk. Every time you choose not to feed the hurt, not to replay the past, not to give energy to the offense, you are healing. Every time you choose silence instead of reaction, peace instead of bitterness, gratitude instead of resentment, you are letting go a little more. Healing happens in layers. One choice, one release, one surrender at a time. You can't heal when you keep looking for justice in the same place that caused your pain. Some people will never understand the damage they did. Some will never admit it, and some will never change. And that's okay, because your healing doesn't depend on them. It depends on God. He is the one who restores what people broke, who gives peace that surpasses understanding, who brings beauty out of ashes. You don't need their apology to move on. You need His presence to make you whole. When you finally let go, you create space for His peace to take residence in your heart. The longer you hold on to pain, the heavier it becomes. It drains your energy, clouds your joy, blinds you to the blessings in front of you. But when you let go, something incredible happens. You begin to see clearly again. The fog lifts, the weight lightens, the air feels different. You start to smile without forcing it, laugh without guilt, and breathe without pain. You rediscover yourself, the version of you that existed before the hurt, the one who believed, hoped, and dreamed. That's the gift of release. It gives you back to yourself. You can't move forward while looking backward. Healing begins when you decide that the past has taken enough from you and you're not giving it one more day, one more tear, one more thought. You begin to say, oh, I'm done letting pain dictate my peace. I'm done letting memories define my mood. I'm done living in yesterday when God is calling me into tomorrow. The hardest part of healing is not the pain, it's the release. But once you release, you make room for renewal, so stop holding on to what hurt you. Let the pain go. Let the memory go. Let the bitterness go. Not because it didn't matter, but because you matter more. You deserve to be free. You deserve to smile without pretending. You deserve to wake up without the weight of what they did. Letting go doesn't mean you forget. It means you're finally ready to live again. Because the wound cannot close while your hands keep reopening it. The moment you let go is the moment healing begins. And when you do, you'll feel something powerful, a quiet peace that tells you it's over. You survived, and now you're free.